Hi guys, as you know, I've just been pregnant for the first time. I've been recovering really well, and during that time I definitely had some things pop through my head of going, oh, isn't it weird how this happened, or that's definitely not what I expected from pregnancies. I thought I'd make a video about my 12 facts about pregnancy, taking it from trimester to trimester. And starting with the first trimester, fact number one for me, I had IVF treatment. It was on a natural cycle. I didn't have any hormones that I had to take beforehand, so it was done as natural as possible, and we had a 5-day-old embryo implanted. I had no idea that symptoms could start the day after transfer. I really thought it was going to be transfer on one day, wait for 5 days, start doing pregnancy tests, and hopefully something will come up. I had the transfer on a Thursday. On the Friday, I felt fine during the day, and then we went out for dinner, and I had a massive surge of hormones, which left me really nauseous and just hot flushes, feeling bad and thinking, what is going on with me? It really took me a while to figure out that that was because of the hormones that started, because I never experienced anything like it in my life. And that was really surprising to me, because I really had no idea that that could start so soon. That was definitely something I never thought would happen. Number two, talking about those hormones. Hormones are intense and they can fluctuate. It was definitely the most intense thing during my pregnancy, the hormones. It's not something that I expected to be that intense and have that much of an influence on your well-being. I'll come back to that a little bit later, but yeah, hormones were the biggest thing during my pregnancy, in a positive but also often negative way, because they do so much with you. Number three, talking about IVF, I had no idea that I would be there lying ready for the transfer, and that we would see the embryo on the screen and I would just fall madly in love with it. I had no idea that I could fall in love with something on a petri dish, and it was really surprising. It really took me aback. I started crying immediately. I still do when I start talking about it. It was quite overwhelming, but also really beautiful. So I was fully aware that that was not my embryo, that was not going to be my child, and I still loved it and immediately felt like I wanted to take care of it. I don't know if that's something because I've been thinking about surrogacy for a while, and I had it in my mind that I really just wanted to take care of a child before it goes and meets his family, but it was quite overwhelming at the time. Yeah. Number four, still with the first trimester, IVF. IVF is stressful, even if you have had no experience like I haven't, and Mark and Ben hadn't either. It is something that is very medical, but you always have this thing in the back of your mind going, we're doing this because we're making a baby, and we're making a human, and that's just adds so many layers to the procedures and just the overall process, that it makes it quite stressful. And the main thing that you have to do whenever you want to get pregnant is to relax. So that was not easy, and I cannot imagine adding to that you have difficulties getting pregnant and that you therefore have to go through IVF. I did not even have the hormones injected beforehand. I don't even know how that would have gone for me, because as I said, the hormones were quite intense for me. So hats off to anyone that has to go through IVF treatment. Second trimester, my number five, morning sickness can stay however long it wants. First of all, morning sickness is not the right name for it, because first of all, it's not in the morning, and second of all, it's not just feeling sick. You just feel absolutely rotten. That was it for me anyways. I just felt so bad all the time that I had a lot of time in bed thinking about what other names I could think for morning sickness, and I could still not come up with a name that justified what it actually felt like. They say, oh yeah, it's the second trimester, your morning sickness will go really soon. Know that it cannot. It can just stay. I was quite ill up until week 23, and then it sort of started to go away. Number 6 for me was getting a belly in the second trimester. I already had a little bit of a belly in the first one sometimes, but that was just because of bloating. So when you get a proper belly, you can really feel the difference. And I absolutely loved it. I really did. It was finally sort of the result of what you've been experiencing day in, day out, and finally other people can see it as well. I really did not mind gaining weight whatsoever. I did not mind getting a belly and things changing in my body. I really loved that experience. Number 7, this is, well, throughout the whole pregnancy, I'd say, pregnancy dreams are weird and they are intense. They are the weirdest dreams I've had in my life, and it was something else. Every time I woke up, I thought, how does my brain make this? And I'm really curious to whether it's the hormones that make you go a little bit cuckoo at night and during the day, and that make you think up all these scenarios or different situations. And for me, it's even funnier because I tend to either dream about my Dutch family or friends, and then everybody tends to speak Dutch. And then if I dream about my English friends, everybody speaks English, of course. And then sometimes I have a dream where they are combined, and that makes it really interesting because the Dutch are speaking Dutch and the English are speaking English, but somehow they communicate. And I had that quite a lot during my pregnancy. So that was very interesting and funny at times because it's so surreal and could so not ever happen in real life. Number 8, in the second trimester, but that goes throughout the whole pregnancy basically, is that small worries become really big really quickly. There were no small worries really, for me anyways. The first time I bled, I completely panicked, and it really hit me that something could go wrong, and that's just a horrible feeling. That kind of all logic just goes out because there's no way that it's something small, and you just want the baby to be okay. That's your main focus. As soon as anything compromises that, it turns big really quickly. Going to the third trimester, number 9. People love big bellies, big pregnancy bellies. There's hardly anyone that's not responded to a big pregnant belly, and especially old ladies, they love them. They will start and just come into the aisle whenever you're in a supermarket to make sure that they can have a little conversation with you or ask if they can touch the bump. They want to guess if it's a boy or a girl because of their own experience, and ask you how far along you are. In my third trimester, I loved showing off the bump, and I just felt really fortunate that I could show it off and just be really proud that my body was making a baby and it was coming to the final stages. Number 10, for the third trimester, your body is adjusting and getting ready for labor, and you can really feel it. Even though your body's changing throughout your whole pregnancy, and definitely things adjust in your body to make space for the baby and things like that, that all goes really quite smoothly. It did with me anyways. The loosening up for labor, that's definitely something I've felt a lot. You feel just a lot more wobbly. I felt really vulnerable at times, really, that I've never really had before. I'm not a small tiny woman, so when I walk down the street in the dark, I never had the feeling of, oh, if somebody's going to try to hurt me, I'm going to be this helpless little person. But I really felt like that during my pregnancy. I thought anybody can do anything to me right now, and I just felt quite vulnerable because I would not be able to have the strength physically to defend myself. And that's of course a really weird thing to think about, but again, there's no small things during pregnancy, at least not during mine. So when I had to walk in the dark, I kind of thought these things and they pop into your head, and I didn't go out that much during the winter time anyways, because it was during my morning sickness, so I wasn't out that much. But yeah, I really felt the loosening up, and you feel a little bit more wobbly, don't have as much balance either. I sometimes would just bump into things, not always with my bum fortunately, but you just don't have that balance that you usually have. Let's do it that way. Number 11 was that you can, in the third trimester, you can really communicate with the baby, and I really like that. In the beginning it freaked me out a little bit because you can feel the baby moving and you can see him on the scans, and you definitely know it's a baby in there, but when you start communicating with him, that's really the point where you go, oh wow, there's a little human in there, you know. So yeah, at the point where I was rubbing my belly and he would give a kick and I would rub my belly again, he'd give another kick. It was just so great to feel that. Number 12, let's do it that way. Number 12, sleeping is difficult, besides the fact that you wake up, especially a lot during the last stages of pregnancy, due to the feeding hormone that starts adding up in your body. It's just really difficult navigating such a big belly. You just feel really big. You are really, well, I was really big anyways. You're really big to navigate in a bed and trying to get comfortable, because you're kind of wedged in. I was wedged in all kinds of pillows in my back, and then my belly, and then my knees, that it just took quite a bit of effort of just turning around. I always waited right up until the moment where my hips really started hurting till I turned around, because I knew it would take me a while. I would then of course start hiccuping again. Sometimes I would wake him up, or he would wake me up during the night, and he'd be moving the whole time, and I couldn't fall asleep whenever he was moving a lot. I would then tell him to be quiet and just settle down a little bit so I could fall asleep. Coming back to the communication again, I would just tell him that, you know, I really just want to fall asleep now. Can you just be quiet for like 5 minutes? After that you can move whatever you want, which I assume that he did all the time whenever I was sleeping. Sometimes he would listen. Babies will still do whatever they want, like coming early while I was convinced I was going to be late, things like that. So they definitely have a mind of their own, and it's funny to see their little characters coming through already. I really love seeing the fact that now that he's out of the womb, that he still moves so much, especially with his arms. Arms are kind of all over the place, and it's really lovely to see that I knew that was going to happen because he was in my belly, and that's just such a special thing. That were my 12 points, my 12 facts about pregnancy through IVF. There's many more, but these were the main ones that stood out for me, and I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and speak soon. Bye.